You are standing in a house that is slowly burning, yet you are worried about the color of the curtains. Most people don't stay in toxic relationships because they enjoy the pain or the chaos. They stay because the exit feels like a cliff and the fire feels like home. It is a quiet, devastating trap built from the bricks of your own hope. The psychological reality of staying too long is rarely about a lack of strength. It is about a phenomenon called trauma bonding, where intermittent reinforcement creates a chemical addiction to the person hurting you. When someone treats you poorly and then offers a scrap of affection, your brain releases a flood of dopamine. This creates a cycle where you're constantly chasing the high of a resolution. You become a gambler at a slot machine that has stopped paying out long ago. Your mind tells you the next pull will be different. It convinces you that the version of them you saw at the beginning is the only true one. This foundation of false hope keeps you anchored in a harbor that is actively sinking. We often mistake shared history for a reason to have a shared future. In psychology, this is known as the sunk cost fallacy. You look at the years you've invested and the tears you've shed as a debt that must be repaid. Leaving feels like admitting those years were wasted, so you double down on the investment. You tell yourself that if you just try harder or speak clearer, they will finally understand your heart. You begin to curate your behavior to avoid their triggers. This shift is subtle until you realize you've become a ghost in your own life. You are no longer a partner but a caretaker for someone else's dysfunction. The deeper truth is that these relationships often mirror an old, familiar wound from your past. We are drawn to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. If you grew up believing love had to be earned, you will naturally seek out people who make you work for it. Peace feels boring or suspicious to a heart that was forged in conflict. You might feel that leaving them is a betrayal of your own capacity to love. This creates a hidden contradiction where your loyalty becomes your own greatest enemy. You're staying to prove you're a good person, while they use that goodness as a weapon against you. You lose the ability to see where they end and you begin. There is a specific moment when the fog clears and the weight of the silence becomes unbearable. It's the realization that you've been fighting for a relationship that only exists in your imagination. You're exhausted from holding up a bridge that the other person isn't even standing on. Your body knows the truth long before your mind is ready to accept it. It shows up in the constant fatigue and the tightening in your chest when they walk through the door. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to dismantle yourself to fit. You aren't losing a soulmate, you're gaining back your own soul. The door isn't locked from the outside. Walking away is the most profound act of self-respect you will ever perform. It is a quiet triumph that begins with a single, trembling step toward your own freedom. You don't need their permission to stop hurting, and you don't need their apology to heal. Choose the uncertainty of being alone over the certainty of being destroyed. The version of you that survives this will be the strongest person you've ever met. If this resonated with you, please consider joining our community for more insights into the human heart.